Comments and opinions expressed on Writers in Focus are those of the individual participants and are presented for the purpose of discussion only. No endorsements by Atlanta Fulton Public Library System or Fulton County government are intended, and none should be presumed. Hi, welcome to Writers in Focus. I'm your host, James Taylor, and today I'm delighted to have as my guest, Sensei, Dr. Grant Kruhly. Did I say that correctly?
You did.
May I call you Dr. Kruhly?
You may.
I'd like to welcome you to the Atlanta Fulton Public Library and the Fulton County Government Center. By way of introduction, by Sensei, you are a teacher.
Yes.
The doctor means you have a degree in chiropractic medicine.
Yes.
But before the interview, you told me that you're not a physician in the traditional sense, you're a metaphysician.
Yes.
We're here to talk about your book. It's called Want More, The 7 Simple Disciplines to Empower Your Life. It's available online as an ebook and as a regular book. I would just tell the audience that Google Dr. Grant Kruhly, and there you are. You have a blog of applied samurai wisdom. What a remarkable book that you wrote, Dr. Kruhly. I want to start at the very beginning. You started out as a samurai master?
No.
No, tell me. I'm one of these guys who watches a lot of movies, watches a lot of bad television. I remember Shogun. I remember Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai, and I remember all kinds of weird things about samurais. They're like dressed up in this weird leather, and they shoot arrows, and in 1868 they were defeated by Gatling guns in a bad movie. Now, come on. Tell me, how can you call yourself a samurai?
Well, I'm about as close to a samurai as you're going to find in North America.
Okay.
As far as a master goes, always remember here in America, everybody's a master, which means that none of them are, including me.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. My teacher is a master. A master, there's all kinds of folks that have good biomechanics. And some of them are really remarkable. They're very, very, very talented people. But I'd like you to think of a gymnast, a girl, say about 13, 14, on the uneven parallel bars in the Olympics. And they're remarkable, and you could certainly say they've mastered their movement in their body, but they're still little children, and they don't know any more about the mastery of life than the man in the moon, right? So a real master is a person who not only has the external form mastered, but it means his internal heart, mind, and everything is mastered as well. And I'm not there yet. Give me another 20 years. I'm just under 60 years old now. I've been training over 40 years, and I have over 50,000 hours of mat time just in the dojo alone. And I still got a long way to go.
How did you start? You're from Windsor, Ontario. And I've read your book, so I don't want to presume too much. I want the audience to learn this. But
sure.
As a young man, you gave up basically the material world and decided to spend 8 straight years of your life with a master?
Yes.
See, I've seen so many movies, I have to do this, you know?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was in Uchideshi, and probably one of the only ones, certainly on the North American continent, that can say that.
And what did the training entail?
Uchideshi means that you're the protege to that master. And basically, I just renounced my family and my life and everything, and I just follow and serve him. So,
wait a second. What do you mean you renounce your family? And
other than sleeping in the house,
unbelievable.
That's all I do. And then I was a musician before. I was a concert cellist, lead cellist in high school orchestra, and I gave up music. I gave up everything because if you're going to try to master something, the best way is to focus, right? So I live sort of like a monk's life. And the other thing that the audience can think of is if you think of like George Patton, and he has his right-hand man that's like sort of like a gentleman's gentleman.
Sure.
his aide. That's how my life with, besides my training, I take care of his person, his personal effects, carry his bag, and do everything. Like like in Game of Thrones, The Hand of the King.
Okay.
Like that.
Your book is filled with so many gems of wisdom and seemingly to me contradictions. 8 years you spent as a master. You're a student.
Yeah, I'm just a tough student.
I've seen you on YouTube in fabulous robes. You know, I'm even holding my shoulders back and my chest out as you recommend, and you have a sense of humor, thank God.
Yeah.
But then in your 40s, you I presumably went to Life University and received a doctorate in chiropractic medicine.
I started there. I transferred 3 times.
But then you say at one point in the book that it's not for you.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile that?
That was a big...
Most chiropractors are like, whoa, you know?
Oh, yeah. No, and
the life force.
I've been lucky to know some of the greatest chiropractors that ever lived. That's who I studied with. But the thing was, in the year 2000, my dojo that I had built and created in California was shut down.
What is a dojo? Just for the audience.
A dojo, nowadays they call training halls studios.
Okay.
And for the audience, please understand, studios are where you go to get your picture taken.
Okay.
Dojo do means the way, and jo means place. So it's place where you practice the way. And so I'm not a commercial martial person.
That's what I like about you.
So that's another story. But anyway, in the year 2000, the landlord died, and his son took over and raised my rent from $1,500 a month to $8,500 in one leap because he wanted my dojo. It was a beautiful handmade place, and he wanted it for .com companies. So I lived off the grid there. I slept on the floor there, and I lived on donations from my students. So there was no money, and I was lost all my work, lost the dojo, and I was homeless. And I wasn't ready. That was a big blow for me. And I didn't know, for the first time in my life, instead of following my heart like I had since I was a child, I asked everybody what to do. And they looked at acting. I'm really good with women's fashions and interior design, all these different things. But when I looked at all that, you can't just walk into those industries.
Right.
And because I'd always been associated with great chiropractors all my life, because my back was broken half when I was 27, and all of these things I healed with through chiropractic and great healers. So everyone said do that. So for the first time in my life, because I was so disoriented, I followed their advice instead of my own heart. So 7 years of hell later, I went through all that rubbish in the chiropractic colleges, which are, if I had political power, I would destroy every one of those colleges. I know great doctors. I wasn't ready for that.
So I wasn't prepared.
Mess.
I wasn't prepared for you to say that. It's amazing. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just a travesty. But anyhow, I went through it and I graduated, and I was lucky enough to find some really great doctors, and I apprenticed under them. I didn't learn anything. The colleges are just a waste of money and time. They teach nothing, and they're basically bought and paid for by the pharmaceutical company. So the great men that I met, I hadn't thought of it, but they all graduated 20, 30 years ago. And it was a different world then. So luckily, because I had that kind of background and I got to apprentice under Bob Rakowski and Jeff Britton and Lance Wright and people like that, I learned my craft on the side that way. But when I went to become a chiropractor and actually open up my own office here in Georgia, I'm afraid I don't have a clue how to run business. And I went under quick, especially here. The stuff that I do is very metaphysical. There's like 250 different kinds of chiropractic. And all of the stuff I do has to do with reorganizational healing from the inside out. That's a phrase coined by Donald Epstein, the founder of Network Chiropractic. And network chiropractic and Japanese swordsmanship are like hand in glove, if you knew how to look at it.
That's as an amateur, as someone very naive about this entire subject. What is it that it seems to me that what you know cannot really be articulated. It has to be shown. You can't just write a book. You can't just say to people, and forgive me for talking so much, Dr. Kruhly, you don't give people like an assignment and say, do this, do this, do that, and you will accomplish this.
No, right.
That's what I'm getting from reading your book.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it so much. And just I'm going to change the subject a little bit.
Please.
But the 7 simple disciplines to empower oneself. And I love to say this, are walking, standing, sitting, drinking, eating, listening, and speaking.
Yes.
How can something as simple as these activities lead to empowerment?
Where else are you going to get them?
I like your attitude. But what do you...
Well, that's a fact.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
Like right now you're sitting, you're listening.
I read your book, so I'm trying to sit with it. Okay.
You're talking. Whoever's watching us right now, they're sitting, they're listening. They may be talking, they may be drinking. In other words, they're alive. So the entire key to empowerment is being awake and aware and present. And the way to become present is in the body. The reason I wrote the book is there are many great teachers right now, and everyone will say, breathe consciously. And of course, that's true. But the problem is it's too oversimplified. The nature of the mind, you have to understand the mind. There's the subconscious and the conscious. Subconscious rules everything, period. That's a scientific fact. It's 1 million to 2 million times a greater processor of information than the conscious brain. It's active 97% of the day minimum. Conscious brain only is active 5% of the day. 70% of its content is redundant and negative. It does basically almost nothing. So the subconscious is the key to your health, your success, your relation, everything. The problem with subconscious mind is it's invisible.
Yeah.
And it goes backward in time because it was formed from 3 months of gestation in the womb until the beginning of age 7 when the brain kicks in from theta to alpha.
No, even the Jesuits and even Sigmund Freud said, give me the first 6 years of a person's life and I will give you the person.
And that's a fact.
That's a fact.
A way that you can control, and they do control populace, everything. And the reason I said empower people, one of my I work with alcoholics and battered women and all kinds of. I love to see proud, happy, strong people, dignified people, not scared, intimidated, brainwashed.
So how do you? I've read the book. So how do you share this? I mean, when you were a sensei, what did you learn from your master? Am I saying that the right way?
Yes, all of that. Because
okay.
And the way the samurai culture does this is, it's always.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
You have a blog. You have a website called Applied Samurai Wisdom.
Yeah.
What is samurai?
Okay. Well, so samurai.
Going back to the beginning now.
Samurai is a word, unlike the movies where they're running around killing everybody. Samurai title comes from the root word saburo, which means to serve. So samurai are servants. They serve their lord and they serve the society. And the teaching method, all the Japanese old teaching method, just like it used to be in Europe, is cup to cup. So we say iron sharpens iron, man sharpens man. So it's a by living example. Nowadays, one of the problems is everything is just cerebral. So it's lots and lots and lots and lots of data, but data doesn't mean anything. If you disagree with me, go watch somebody die, and ask them how much data means anything to them, or are they experiencing data? No. So the reason for the book is I want to show them people, because our society is super stressed, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. It's never going to slow down. Those days are over. So the only way to slow down is inside. And you can do that. You can control time and space from inside. But you got to be able to get there. And most people, of course, they don't have time. Let's say they do yoga, and they do yoga 2, maybe 3 times a week, which is great. The only problem is it's like spitting in the wind, because they can get a certain amount of calm and quiet there, and then as soon as they leave to drive home, all of the environmental triggers that are firing programs in their subconscious mind, that overtakes them. So the book is actually like a little mini helper, so that anywhere you are however you're engaged in your life, you can tie into the present moment and bring presence back via the feeling inside your body. The one guy that's close to me is Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle is much higher level consciousness than I am, but my method, I think, is more practical. It's more doable for the average person.
Well, that's what are some elements of the method? In other words, I'm a librarian. You go into a library, there's Aikido, there's the Code of Bushido, there's Buddhism, there's Zen Buddhism, there are Rinzai schools and the Christian mysticism. It goes on and on and on. Mm-hmm. I mean, so how do you know?
It's excellent. So you want to read a book, so you select the book, and then as you sit down, before you start to read the book, arrange your body.
I want to hear this.
Okay, you arrange your body. Like, for instance, a samurai, when he's going to read, he takes the book, he has a book stand. The book is open like that. Then he sits in seiza, kneeling, or if he's like it depends, he might have some type of a small chair or something. Generally, Japanese, they were on their knees or sitting cross-legged. But he arranges his body very straight. We call the straightness shisei. Then his neck is straight, because we know from science, this is how you tie my samurai understanding with my science as a doctor. If your neck goes into flexion like that, it functions to have the brain freeze frame time so it can dwell on a problem. That's why you know that famous statue, the thinker, and he's like that.
Oh, sure, we're done. Yeah.
Okay, so we know that when the neck comes up into extension, straight, the brain is able to flow with the present moment. It flows with the events in real time. Okay, so a samurai will sit like this. He has the book at the level that allows this, and he controls his body and occupies his body with his consciousness. He becomes present, and then he reads. And I'll tell you something. You try this. You focus with your body like this, not like these nowadays. You know, I went to chiropractic college, so I go into the college, and I was mortified, right? Because here's this kid that's going to be a doctor. This kid actually had her feet on the professor's desk, on his desk while he's talking. And she's sitting like this, and the professor, because he's another brain dead person, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
And I asked him later. I said, "Why don't bother you that she has her feet on your desk?" "Oh no, I'm only interested in her mind." That's right. That's all he's interested in, because that's all he knows. Well, anyway, if you try to study a book or any document and you do that, $10,000 says you will retain that information way more. It's like no comparison. And the other thing is, while you're reading or while you're eating, if you ever watch people and they're just shoveling in their mouth. And if you want to see something, go to Japan sometime or go to a European family and watch their etiquette and the way dining is done with presents, etiquette. America used to be like that.
A tea ceremony, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes, it's presents. Why do you, like I say in the book, one of the reasons why people spend thousands of dollars to go to watch great stage shows and great actors is because those great actors or great dancers, they fill their being with presence, so they have power, and they're awake and they're aware. And see, while you're say you're reading something on Buddhism and you're sitting like a slob but you're really you're so educated, you got a potato chip and something like that, but you read like 10,000 books a month, right? You're a genius, and that's just in here, and we say it goes like this, in the ear and out the mouth, and there's no process, there's nothing. So what I'm trying to say is, and I'm getting a little animated.
I love it.
But I'm very passionate about this because if you ever want to see how many people are actually present in their body, just look on the street sometime.
Yeah. I've got to ask you this, though, Dr. Kruhly.
Yeah.
There are some traditions that I'm familiar with. Christian mysticism is where one loses oneself, presumably in a rapture with God.
Mm-hmm.
In Zen Buddhism, the idea is to empty the mind and become one with the universe. There are many jokes about this, but I think you're with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what you were experiencing at 80 miles an hour
Mm-hmm.
in your car
Mm-hmm.
when you felt at peace, because how could you keep driving? Do I make any sense? You talk about this in the book. You had what I would call a mystical experience.
Yes.
But you were driving at 80 miles an hour and continue to drive.
Yes.
Totally. Could you explain that?
Yes.
That was very moving in the book.
So I had a transpersonal experience driving the car, like he says.
They're called by many names, but okay.
Yes, all it means is...
you've transcended the self or something.
Well, you wake up.
Oh, I like that.
All it is there's the mind. You have to understand there's a mind over here, and all the mind is it's just memes, just talking in loops, and that's all it is. It's got nothing to do with you. What you are is the consciousness that sees the mind going like that. That's what you are. So the I think, therefore I am is 100% wrong. So I think, therefore I'm lost is what the actual situation. So what happened was I woke up in the car. So the car's driving, and this is the way, the perfect analogy for our body and our life. So our consciousness occupies our body, like I'm in my car. So I'm whipping through the driving along, and all of a sudden it dawned on me, I'm sitting still. Isn't it funny? I'm still, but the car's really moving fast. And I'm sitting still, but I'm inside the car that's moving fast. That was the first thing. And then as soon as I realized that slowed everything down. I started to feel my breathing. Then I noticed that as I'm looking around inside the space of my car, it's also completely still. Everything was still, just the exterior is really moving fast. Well, that's the way life is. That's what Max Planck, when he made the still point, that's what that is. Well, you can live like that. I don't live like that. I've been there many times, but I'm not there. Now, a guy like Eckhart Tolle, he can live there. Sri Bhagavan lives there.
Let me ask you this with the remaining time. Do you have a goal, or does that make any... Do you have a destination? Do you have a... Do you know
It's a perfect question. The goal, this is the reason I write the book, folks, and it's a perfect thing. The goal is to be fully alive right now, and the present moment goes forever. There's no goals are the biggest problem. That's why I wrote the book. Goals are like agendas. An agenda is a future point. Because America is always moving to we live by agendas, you miss your whole life because the present moment is only a step to get to this goal. And as soon as you get to that goal, you go to the next point. So consequently, what will happen is one day you'll be in a hospital bed or somewhere where you're going to die, and there's no more goals. And you know it. If you ever watch someone who's going to die, they know.
Yep.
And then the realization comes up that all that stuff they were missing because now they're forced to live.
We're going to continue. I want to feel your energy. Hold me for a minute. You're wonderful. Dr. Kruhly, Dr. Grant Kruhly. I've been talking to Dr. Grant Kruhly, and literally I can feel his energy, his sincerity, his honesty, and your sense of humor, and your wisdom. His book is called Want More, The 7 Simple Disciplines to Empower Your Life. It's available as an ebook and as a pamphlet, as a book. Just Google Dr. Grant Kruhly, Kruhly. Thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
That was great.
Is it over already?
Yeah. Comments and opinions and focus are those of the individual participants and are presented for the purpose of discussion only. No endorsements by Atlanta Fulton Public Library System or Fulton County government are intended, and none should be presumed.